Once upon a time, in a quiet countryside, there lived a humble farmer who owned a small pond. This pond was home to many waterfowl, but none stood out more than the goose and the swan. The goose, sturdy and practical, was kept for her usefulness. She laid large eggs, made a loud honking noise that scared off foxes, and provided feathers for pillows. The swan, on the other hand, was graceful and elegant, with feathers white as snow and a neck that curved like a gentle river. She was kept not for her utility, but for her beauty and the lovely songs she sang at dawn. The farmer's family admired the swan, but the goose often felt unappreciated. "What good is a bird that sings?" she would mutter under her breath. "While I lay eggs and guard the yard, she just glides across the water like she owns the place." Despite her feelings, the goose kept working, honking at intruders, keeping her feathers clean, and doing her best to contribute. Still, she envied the way the farmer's children would stop to listen to the swan's song and toss her crumbs of bread while ignoring the goose's efforts. One evening, a feast was being prepared in the farmhouse. The farmer, looking for a fine bird to roast, came down to the pond at dusk. The light was dim and he moved quickly. Spotting the swan asleep near the goose, he reached out and grabbed the closest bird, without noticing which one he had taken. He carried the bird into the kitchen and set her on the table. As the cook prepared the knives and pots, the swan stirred and slowly opened her eyes. Feeling the danger, she lifted her head and began to sing. It was not a loud cry, but a soft, haunting melody, her final song, one filled with sorrow, grace, and beauty. The cook froze, the knife hovering in midair. The farmer stepped forward. "Wait," he said, a sudden realization dawning in his eyes. "That's not the goose. That's the swan." Startled, the cook looked again and saw that it was true. The swan's feathers shimmered faintly in the lantern light. The farmer quickly scooped her up and carried her back to the pond, apologizing as he set her down. She glided silently into the water, unharmed. The next morning, the goose watched the swan float by, more graceful than ever. She had heard the song from the barnyard. It was unlike anything she had ever imagined. So beautiful it made her feathers stand on end. And it had saved the swan's life. From that day on, the goose no longer muttered under her breath. She still laid her eggs, guarded the yard, and did her part. But she understood that everyone has a place and purpose. Some bring strength, others beauty. Some honk, others sing. And the swan? She continued to glide through the water, singing only when the dawn was still. Her song, once taken for granted, was now cherished. Even the goose would pause to listen. The moral of story teaches that appearances can be deceiving, and judgment based solely on looks can lead to mistakes. The master intended to cook the goose for a feast, but mistakenly took the swan instead. This reminds us to think carefully and not act in haste, especially when making important decisions.